Before we start, did you know that PragerU Kids offers free videos, books, and lessons on history, civics, and financial literacy? Economic Game Changers introduces teens to the visionaries who shaped how we think about money. Watch more episodes and learn more at PragerUkids.com.
The 18th century brought new discussions about how goods were produced and distributed. Adam Smith and David Ricardo criticized government-controlled economies and advocated for free trade. On the other hand, radicals like Karl Marx believed that the working class was being exploited by the capitalists. These radicals wanted nothing short of a revolution of the proletariat, in which the working class would seize the means of production for themselves. These two opposing viewpoints would come to a head in France in the middle of the 19th century. Political and class tensions had been brewing and finally exploded into the 1848 revolution, which overthrew the French monarchy. It was France's third revolution in 50 years. To make matters worse, this time in European history was known as the Hungry Forties, where crop failures devastated harvests across Europe. The result was food shortages and a steep rise in prices. This led to less money available for spending on industrial goods, decreasing overall demand. Shortly after the revolution, the French Second Republic faced a massive unemployment crisis due to the agricultural and industrial instability. Armed laborers in the cities were demanding the right to work, believing everyone deserved a job. In the fervor, the new provisional government created the National Workshops, a government program to provide state-funded jobs at state-guaranteed wages. Enter Frédéric Bastiat, a former merchant turned economist.
The government must do something! No.
He witnessed firsthand the consequences of state-sponsored protectionism while working at his family's exporting business.
We must expand state intervention in the economy.
It would solve the problems of the working class.
That is a terrible idea. The government is actually the source of your problems.
He, like Smith and Ricardo before him, was an advocate for free trade. Between 1845 to 1850, he wrote a number of essays to challenge the popular socialist demands of the day, utilizing wit and satire to convey those challenges. One of these essays was called
That which is seen and that which is not seen.
Here, he introduced the idea of the seen and the unseen. The seen is the immediate, visible effects of an action or policy, like jobs created or a factory saved. The unseen is the alternative that never happens, like other jobs that could have been created or other spending that could have occurred. Today, we call this opportunity cost, the value of the next best alternative you give up when making a decision. Bastiat illustrated this idea in the classic parable of the broken window.
Suppose a careless boy breaks a baker's window.
Hey!
The baker must hire a glass cutter to replace it. Ah, good, you say. This creates more work for the glass cutter. But by paying to repair the window, the baker gave up the opportunity to use that money on something else, like new shoes or supplies for his shop. What you see is the glass cutter's gain,
Merci beaucoup!
but not the loss of the other tradesmen who did not get the baker's money.
The National Workshops proved Bastiat's point in real life. The seen was over 100,000 men being paid to perform redundant manual labor such as leveling ground and paving streets. The unseen was the fact that there might have been more productive uses for those resources.
Neglecting the unseen will lead to negative, counterproductive consequences.
Which leads us to another essay, The Law. For Bastiat described legal plunder, when the law is used to take from one group and redistribute to another by force. And the government, in order to continue funding the program, used the law to
What are all these taxes? I am but a simple farmer.
And they call it justice. But it's actually just taking from one to give to another.
That is terrible!
It is terrible. The law should exist not to take, but to protect individual rights, such as life, liberty, and property. Anything more will only lead to corruption. We.
Lastly, Bastiat challenged the popular demands that governments raise extreme trade barriers and enact product subsidies to protect French workers. In his most enduring essay, The Candlemaker's Petition, he exposed the absurdity of these socialist demands.
There is a foreign competitor who offers light more abundantly and cheaply than our candle makers.
Mon Dieu, who is that?
That competitor is the sun!
What? The government must do something about this.
Yes, let's submit the petition to the government to block out the sun, forcing everyone to buy candles instead.
Block out the sun? That's ridiculous.
Exactly!
Bastiat's point was that trade protectionism had some seen benefits, but extraordinary unseen costs. He also regarded the voluntary exchange of goods and services as a natural right, promoting human cooperation and reducing conflict. France's national workshops collapsed within months, leading to further chaos in the streets. These events proved Bastiat's warning that an expansive state-run economy doesn't create wealth or true prosperity. Bastiat, struggling with the terminal lung disease, died at just 49 years old. But his push for free trade, limited government, and rule of law deeply influenced how people thought about free markets versus state-run economies. As Bastiat predicted, the former always beats the latter, without exception. Next time, we enter the 20th century, on the tailwinds of more than half a century of free trade, until a global war left Europe shattered and broken. In the chaos, many called for socialist solutions to rebuild, but one man stood as a lone voice of freedom.
Do not stray from the free market way. History has shown.
Thanks for watching this episode of Economic Game Changers. Become an expert on economics and financial literacy in no time, with more episode's like this at PragerUkids.com. Parents, subscribe today.